So in many countries around the world, people are worried about the level of education that girls get relative to the level of education that boys get. And that was particularly a challenge facing the government of Zambia. And the government was wondering, we see these huge spikes in dropout, particularly around, ninth, 10th, and 11th grade among girls. What's happening for them that's different from boys? And when we talked to girls, they said, even if I passed my exams, sometimes the parents would say, there's money for your brother to go to school, but there's not any money for you to go to school. And so we wanted to ask ourselves whether there was a way to actually change that calculus within the household and allow girls to get more resources for themselves. And so what we did is we taught girls how to negotiate. We gave them a training in negotiation skills. And this was a training that we adapted from sort of the negotiation skills that are taught in business and law schools around the world. And in particular, we were worried that, if you go in and you kind of teach the girls to negotiate and do a lot of rah-rah pro-girl stuff, that it could actually create backlash within the household. So the way we set it up is that we did a randomized controlled trial, and we actually had 3 arms. The negotiation training, which was a 2-week training, a control group where they got no program, and then a middle ground that we call a safe space program that allowed us to look at the effects of empowerment without the skills that also came with the negotiation program. What we found is that the negotiation training program actually did increase girls' human capital outcomes over the long term. One of the channels of our positive effect for girls getting more educational investment from their parents and staying in school for longer is the girls actually kind of creating these strategic trades, these joint gains within the household. When they had the training, they realized that their decisions could affect what their parents did. And if they sort of did certain things in the household, and we see them, doing more chores, being nicer, being easier to get along with, that might make their parents more willing to invest in their education. So what's really interesting about this is that these households are relatively poor. Zambia is a developing country. And so you might think, okay, what is teaching girls to negotiate going to do? What we see is that training these girls to negotiate meant they ended up with more education. So a very small input created this pretty powerful output of these girls actually completing more schooling, which you might not expect from a training like that. Sometimes we think it all comes down to resources, but this shows that girls themselves are actually powerful agents of change if they're given the right skills.